Hopefully this is better. Hopefully this is better. It's glitchy. I'm not sure what's going on. All right. I could put another mic on if we think that's going to help. Okay. I'm going to restart this to make sure that I get this. Okay. All right. All right. So hopefully this is better. I restarted my phone. Hopefully the sound is good. Let's see. So okay. So I turned the volume up on that. That sounds like the sound is going through now. Looks good. Okay. Awesome. I rebooted my phone. I mean, I have no idea what was going on with it, but I could see on my screen over here that it was all fussy, and I didn't know about the sound thing, but hopefully it sounds good now too. So, but let's see. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they do. They do. It's crazy. So anyhow, I rebooted. Here I am. So anyhow, how you doing? I'm up late tonight, Sunset. I'm getting some stuff done. My granddaughter had a volleyball game today. My wife had me outside for a while doing yard work and stuff. So I was helping her out to get some stuff done because it's difficult for her to do that kind of stuff. So, and I wasn't in here working very much. So now I'm trying to get caught up and I'm up late, which is not really unusual for me. I do tend to work late. So it's just nice and quiet. Happy to be here. I'm sick, but not too bad. Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry you feel sick. Yeah, I'm sorry you feel sick. It is going around. I know my sinuses are all jacked up right now. If I sound a little weird, it's probably because of my sinuses. My nose is stopped up and everything, so I'm kind of mouth breathing a little bit just because my sinuses. It's just that time of the year. So yeah, just ate, so I gotta throw my garbage out. I don't suspect we'll get too many people on at this late of the night. So, but I just figured if I'm going to do this, I might as well just maybe I'll have somebody to talk to if I'm, up late. So, anyhow, figure why not go live? All right. Put it in my bag. So I got to get this stuff done, get this stuff cleaned up. All right. I know if I did a vertical live, I'd get a lot of people in here, but it'd probably be people I really don't want to talk to too much, They usually just want to cause problems. It seems like the vertical streams are just, I don't know, sometimes they attract the wrong people, You get more views, but I don't think it's quality, you know? Yeah, definitely a lot of trolls. That's for sure. So I'm just fixing the bottoms of these, trimming them out a little bit so they're nice and smooth. These here, I really can't put on my wheel and trim them. They're so small, and it really wouldn't be worth it anyhow. Because, I mean, I usually clean these edges up anyhow a little bit, so there's not really much of an edge hanging on here. So, did you try the letting your clay open at night to see if it actually helped stiffen it up a little bit? These are all just spoon rests, so you don't have to be too particular with them. I don't think they spend most of their time just sitting on the stove or whatever. So as long as they're not, as long as they're smooth on the bottom, that's really what matters. Um, so honestly, I totally forgot. I started feeling sick last night, so I just went to bed. I feel you. I understand. I know when I get sick like that, I usually just want to sleep all the time. I mean, I think your body needs it. You know, if you do sleep, you tend to your body tends to heal better. I think when you sleep. Okay, at the top of that, try to keep these things moist as I can. I honestly totally forgot. Okay, I remember that. Yeah, that's what works for me anyhow. You know, do that, or you can spend a lot of time wedging it. Because eventually wedging it will dry it out. I haven't seen or heard a whole lot of Leah. I hope she's doing well. I think her family is going through the same issues of being sick and stuff. So um, I hope she's doing well. Haven't really heard from her at all for at least a week, probably almost a week. Feels like head's blowing up, a headache, congestion. My daughter was good today, no fever until tonight. Wow. Need one of those things to wedge it so it doesn't stick to the wheel or table. Yeah. If you even have, I don't know, but trying to think, if you have any light canvas or anything like that, or that you can find something that you can staple it down to, and then you could wedge onto that or something, or on your table. I don't know. It is difficult if you don't really have anything to wedge on. You know what I mean? With it sticking, because it will tend to stick. So, I mean, a piece of wood. If you have a piece of plywood or something laying around, possibly, that's probably your best bet. Because I've wedged on this table already. It's just a wood table. So that does work. It does sometimes stick though, obviously. If it's really wet, it just sticks, you know. There's not much you can do. Um, I usually let it sit out and dry if it's really wet. Wedge it on the wheel, yeah. Yeah, my puppy likes to get into the clay. That's for sure. He loves clay for some reason. I don't know why he thinks he, can eat it, but he just, I have him down here and he wants to eat it. So, which I don't think it's going to hurt him, but I don't know. Dogs eat all kinds of weird stuff anyhow. They really don't care much. I mean, they eat bones and stuff, and so, like, my big dog, she chomps on bones, and I swear it's like, how do you pass that stuff? But they do. I mean, she ate one of my sponges one time. My biggest dog, she ate one of my sponges, and she passed that right out. He's so cute. Yeah, he is cute. He's very smart too. We're finding that out. He got into the trash can today, and the trash can lid was closed. I just don't know. He's quite smart. It's funny because he'll sit there and watch you do something, and I swear he's taking notes. Like, oh, that's how they do that, and then next thing you know, he's getting into trouble. So, but he's a good dog. He's going to be a really good dog. I would love to get a fenced-in yard and out back so that they can run. Because the problem with these types of dogs is they do like to run. You could train them to stay in your yard and stuff, but they are terriers, and they they put their nose to the ground, and then they just go wherever their nose takes them, and they don't even think about, I mean, they might think about later, like, oh, geez, how do I get back home? Because they don't even realize they've left the yard. And we've had another Airedale Terrier, a male, and we had one of them collars on him to keep him in a boundary. He crossed that boundary and didn't even feel the shock or anything. He just, like, you heard him yelp, but he kept on going. So it's like that didn't even work. It's just, I don't know. My cat does that too. She knows to eat the other cat's food. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, I did. Yeah, yeah. Her name's Rosie. Okay, that's cool. She's a stinker, but she loves to cuddle. Yeah, we used to have a cat. He was a mouser too. He loved to catch mice. Well, he would play with them. He'd play with them until he killed them. Put it that way. Wouldn't do anything else. I mean, once they're dead, he wasn't interested. But he would play until he were dead. All right. Trying to keep these moist because I gotta stamp them yet. And right now, it's not. They're not a good hardness to stamp right now. These aren't really bad to clean up because really the only residue I have on the bottom is from when I wired it off. So I only need to clean up a little bit. Oh, thank you. No, they're not fully dry yet. They're pretty much leather hard at this point. But yeah, they're just you know, a spoon rest. Doesn't take much clay to make them. They sell easy. You know, there's not something that's super expensive. And it seems like people just like them. You know, it's just a piece. They want a piece of pottery to start with, and this is something that most everybody can afford. It's you know, I think I only charge like $8 for these or something like that. At the most $10. Depending on where you're at, they could cost more, obviously. But really, I mean, I don't charge a lot for these things. There's not a lot of clay in them. They don't take up a lot of space in the kiln, so why charge so much for them? You know, I mean, that's what I go by is my time, the clay, the glaze, and I come up with a price. You know, and that's reasonable to me. I mean, $5 to $10, really, it's not bad. Do you cover them so they don't dry too quick? Yes. I keep them in plastic bag until I'm completely done with them. Once I'm done, I stamped them and they look good, and I'm ready for them to dry. I'll put them out on the shelf and then I'll let them dry, bone dry, to put them in the kiln. So, and they dry really fast anyhow because there's not a whole lot of clay to them. They're only about a 1/4 inch thick all the way around. So yeah, they dry really quick. So I got to keep them in a bag until I'm completely done working with them. They have to be stamped on the bottom yet. And right now they're a little bit hard to stamp on the bottom. So I like to get them a little bit wetter, and then I'll stamp them, and then they'll actually go on a shelf. So, but I can't get my stamp to go in them right now because they're just too hard right now. But they're leather hard. Uh, I'll let all my pieces I made dry. If one, I think, cracked a little, but have them displayed on the shelves. Oh yeah, well, yeah. I mean, once they dry, they get pretty brittle at that point. Um, but if they dry too quick, they can crack. And some of that is due to like if your bottom's too thick or something, and you're like you want ideally you want to have your piece the same thickness all the way around the bottom and everything. You want to try to keep that same thickness. Um, so if your bottom's a little thicker than your sides are going to dry real fast, and your bottom is still wet a little bit, and you can tend to have cracks there because your piece shrinks as it dries. So it's getting tension, right? It's getting under tension when it's doing that. And but if you'll have a better luck if your piece is really the same thickness all the way around it. The other thing is don't let them dry out too quick. If you have a piece where the sides are a little thin, the base is a little heavy, put it in a plastic bag, and you don't even need to seal the plastic bag. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll take a plastic bag. Let me get one here. I'll show you. Is I'll take like a plastic bag that my clay comes in, right? Just for instance, and I'll roll the edge up like this. I'll roll the edge up like that. Now, if I have a taller piece, I'll put that bag right over top like that, and I'll let it sit all night, okay? And you can let it sit like that till it dries because it will help keep some humidity inside the bag so the piece will dry slowly. That's the whole point, is to allow it to dry slowly. So anyhow, try that maybe on your pieces and see if that actually helps with your drying, so you don't have any pieces that crack. Well, you just have to keep practicing. Pottery is something that's it can be difficult at times, right? I mean, one day you make some really good pieces, the next day it's all crap. You get discouraged, but you have to just keep going through. Don't stop. I mean, just because you had a crappy day or whatever on the wheel doesn't mean that you can't do it. We've all been through that. Every potter has been through that. And the thing of it is we still have days where, we get on the wheel and it's just crappy. You know what I mean? I mean, stuff just does not, it's just not working for some reason or another. And at that point, you know what? I say, enough. I get off the wheel. And fortunately, I have plenty of other things to work on besides the wheel work, just like stuff like this. And I'll just do stuff like this. If I don't have anything, then I'd go outside and do something, maybe come back later on and try it again. Or I just wait till the next day. But we all go through days like that. And but it just takes practice anyhow till you get on to making pieces, You just have to build a skill, Nobody is just born into this, to where you automatically can just throw. Maybe some people are find it comes to them easier than others. That might be, but they're still have to work at it. You know what I'm saying? And then going to try make a good piece. Yeah. So we all go through it. There ain't a potter that hasn't been through that. So don't let it discourage you. Okay, just have to work through it, and you'll get through it. I promise you. You will get through it. I guess the whole point is don't give up. Just because you have a bad day, don't give up. I mean, I still have bad days sometimes at the wheel, like I was saying. I mean, it happens, you know. Sometimes we're just not into it at that day, you know, or something to that effect. We're just not in sync with it, you know. I mean, I've already to where I was having a rough day on the wheel, couldn't get things to come out for me. Um, and like I said, I walk away from it, go outside, do something, whatever, take my mind off of it, and then come back later on in the day and I'm fine. It just, you know, it just, to me, it's God telling me, take a break, you know, take a break. So, wheel, I need bats to make my wheel heavier because it's too light and it moves when I'm throwing. Oh, okay. Have you seen Swan City, right? Her wheel's super light, and she actually does some pretty good sized pieces on her wheel. So it could be that your clay, it might be a little hard. Maybe that's part of it, because if you have a light wheel, you're not going to do a clay that's stiff when you're trying to throw. You're going to want probably a little bit of a wetter clay when you throw, because a light wheel will walk around on you. I have a light wheel behind me, and it's difficult to throw a piece because it wants to move, right? Even this other wheel that you see me on a lot, it's a heavier wheel, but it's still, you know, if I have a rough or I have a heavy piece of clay and it's not real wet, it's a more of a stiff clay, my wheel is going to want to try to move a little bit because I'm putting a lot of force on the clay to move it. So, yeah, try, you know, with a wetter clay, and you'll probably have better luck at that. Gluing it down to the floor. Oh, well, you could do that too. So, yeah. So, I mean, even these lightweight wheels will still work, you know, they'll still work. Yeah, it would definitely ruin your floor. Definitely ruin your floor. There you go. And get some Velcro and put it on there. That would probably help. All right. So there we go. Nice spoon rest. Like I said, I just have to stamp them on the bottom. All right. So I got them all in the bag. Spray a little bit of water in there. And then I'll seal them up. They'll get a little bit wetter. Once they are in there for a little bit, they actually will wetten up a little bit because I've wetted them down with water so much. And then tomorrow morning, I'll come down, put my stamp on them, and then I'll let them sit out because they're okay to dry quickly. I don't have any issue with those drying quickly for me. So I'll let them do that, and they'll be all good. Where is my sponge? Where is my sponge? Getting a sponge here. Kind of clean my spot up here a little bit. There we go. I did have some water up there. Yeah, I do. I think I'm going to put some handles on. Yeah, Velcro would probably work pretty good. Yeah, you don't want your wheels sliding across the floor. All right, so that's pretty well cleaned up. Okay. Now I'm going to take this little bit of clay I have here and put in my reclaim bucket. I always reclaim my clay as much as I can. I don't like to waste it. It's not that expensive, but you know, why throw it away if you can recover it? I don't like to waste anything, so there we go. Now we're good. Now we're good. Got a nice clean working area again. So I think what I'm going to do right now is work on some handles. I got to get the water off of this. Yeah, let me get some of the water off this. This is some slip that I have from my wheel from when I was throwing. So I pour the water off the top. You make a little bit of a slip. I put it into one of my other bowls. That's what I want. Some nice gooey slip. And I'll use this for my handles. It helps, it acts like glue. There we go. Mush it up a little bit. I don't need any real heavy solids in here. I just want some really wet clay. That was nice thing there. You need to get one of the big sponges. So the big sponges, I cut these up. So these are from like Home Depot, or you can get them from Lowe's. And what they are is they're sponges that bricklayers use for mortar and stuff. They clean the mortar up with these types of sponges. These sponges don't disintegrate. They're made to take a beating. So anyhow, you can get these sponges there, Home Depot or Lowe's. Probably most any good hardware store, but they're mason sponges. That's what they are. Masons use them. Don't go and just get a regular sponge from like Walmart or anything, because it's not the same thing. Okay? Don't waste your money. Those sponges fall apart. Take it from me. I have a sponge over here that I could show you. It's a Walmart sponge. And I thought, well, I could try it, but it don't last. They just don't last. So here is the mason sponge, and it comes pretty big. It comes like that, basically. Okay. Let me see. Oh yeah, this is actually the one I cut apart. This is Pro Plus, it says, but this is a mason sponge. Okay, has rounded edges on it, and I just cut them up because I don't need a huge sponge. I'll just use small ones. This is a Walmart sponge, and you can see it's horrible. It dries up. It comes apart. You don't want this in your clay. So anyhow, don't waste your money on a Walmart sponge. They just are not worth it. All right. Now that I made a mess over here, but that's okay. All right. Concerns class. I'm going to check my local stores. Yeah. So just check, make sure it's and if you go somewhere like it's not Lowe's or Home Depot, ask somebody, is this a mason sponge? Like, is this for like cleaning mortar? They could tell you. And but usually they have rounded corners and stuff, and they are very tight knit, closed sponges. They're but anyhow, that's what you want. Imitations don't work. All right, I need to move these out of the way, and we need to move some mugs into the picture here. Now these are still wet. They're still wet a little bit, but they're perfect to put handles on right now. Perfect to put handles on. This one here actually already stamped it on the bottom. So these here, I like to have them dry a little bit slow as well. When it comes to the handles, I don't want the handles drying too fast. All right. So yeah, you see they're not all perfectly the same size. So don't get hung up on making sure pieces are exactly perfect, because they won't be. And I just would never worry about that. So anywho, I extruded a bunch of handles out already. So all I have to do is pull them a little bit to get the shape I want. So these are the extruded handles that I did. You can see the kind of the shape. And then what I'll do, this is longer than what I need, is I will grab them up here and I'll pull them to get a nice pulled handle. And then I'll take some pipe insulation, okay, and I will shape them around there so that when they go onto the mug, they already have that kind of shape, okay? Might need a bigger bucket than this, but we're going to try this. All right. So anyhow, some tips. All right. I have a whole bunch of these that I made. I don't know how many I made. I probably made 50 of them. But I have a decent extruder right now, so it's easy for me to push these through. I made that shape myself out of a template that I did to cut out. So that way, this handle is my own handle then at that point. It's not a shape that you buy. All right, so we're going to pull the handle. I want to try to keep this shape as much as I can, but I wanted to get more narrow at the bottom. But I like it to have the width up at the top because I think it makes the mug, you can handle it better. You know, it's more stability in the mug. Yeah, the handles do take a little bit more time. You definitely want your piece to have a nice handle. The handle needs to fit the mug perfectly. And you don't want it to feel weird when you're trying to drink out of the thing, you know. So handles have got to look nice. And they got to feel right. So you can see here that it's getting a little bit longer. And I'm just slowly pulling it and thinning it as I go. And that gives me a nice shape then, because I don't want it real wide at the bottom of my mug. But this is how you pull your handles. And I'm still retaining that ridge right there. But you can see how it's getting narrower. Okay. And then what I do is I'll take it. Now this is longer than what I need. But I'll take it and I'll wrap it around this foam like this. And just so it starts to get that shape already. So it will start to dry like that a little bit. And then it's already there. I'll stick it to the piece. It's going to stick like glue and it's going to look perfect. So you dip the clay into your piece, you're in your water like that, and then of course your hands got to be wet as well. And I just go back and forth like that and just gradually pull a little bit of clay. I'm not squeezing real hard, okay? And I'm moving back and forth like this. Just so I can try to retain that shape. And make sure your hand comes off of the piece, okay? If you're stopping here, you're going to get a bulb right here. It's just, you're not going to be able to do anything with anyhow. So make sure you're pulled directly off of the piece. Don't squeeze it too hard, because then you'll get it really out of shape. I know Jess said that the handles probably take the most time. They do. All right. There we go. That's why I do all the handles together. I've already thrown all the mugs, but now I'm doing all the handles. There's several ways to do handles. I mean, I've seen people just put this onto the mug itself and then pull the handle. You can definitely do that. You just got to find what works for you. And this is what works for me. But I always like the look of a pulled handle. So that's why I pull mine. You could just go with an extruded handle. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's all in what you like and the style of the piece, because it's like I said, at the end of the day, it's got to look like it fits on the mug. So that's probably the most important thing, is that it fits and it feels good in your hands. like to keep my one hand dry so that when I grip the clay, it's sticky. So I keep the top of this pretty dry, or drier than the rest of it that I'm trying to pull. Handles is another thing that it just takes practice to be able to do them. And I swear, when I look at other potters, everybody does their handles a little bit different. So your handle is pretty well, you can tell a handle by the potter that made it, you know? And you really can. Okay, well, thank you, Sunset, for hanging out for a little while. I'm probably not going to be on here much longer, anyhow. So you have a good night too, and I hope you feel better. Keep my mugs wet. Don't want them to dry out just sitting here. All right. All right. We're still pulling handles. This is how I make my handles for all of my mugs. I start out with an extruded shape that I made myself. I made the template for it, which allows me to move faster to make my handles. And then what I end up doing is I pull the handles. I always like the look of a pulled handle. It looks more natural. And I feel that it feels better in the hands when you're trying to use the mug when you're drinking out of it. So you start using machines to make things. You take the hands and the feeling of it away, you know. It's really important that you keep machines away from this kind of stuff. I mean, pottery should be something made by your hands. It's you know, that's why it's a lot of art pertaining to this because of that. And this is my mugs are thrown on the wheel, and even though I extrude the handles out, I made the extrusion myself, and then I pull the handles from that extrusion anyhow because I want it to be narrower down here than it is up here. I want to keep the wide part up here because it gives you more stable of a cup when you're drinking. So anyhow, that's what that is. And then I just take them and I roll them right over top of a piece of pipe insulation. And what that does is it helps to give it that rolled edge already. And then when I go to put it onto the mug, it just fits right onto the mug. Because I'll let these dry like this just a little bit so they retain that shape before I put it onto the mug. And I found that this size actually helps. It actually is pretty much the right size you need for your hand. Because as these things dry and get fired, they shrink. So we make things a little larger than what they're supposed to be. I mean, this is the extrusion that I came up with. And I cut them to about 6 inches long. I find that because I end up pulling the handle like this, and if I cut these about 6 inches, it's actually the perfect length for the handle on the mug. So it's just through trial and error. That's what works. At least it's what works for me. I mean, every potter is going to be different in how they do their handles. A lot of potters do pull their handles, and this is the method that they use to pull the handles. And it just gives that nice narrow shape to your handle. And it feels more natural in your hand too. If you've ever used a pottery mug and you had a pulled handle, it feels completely different than one that was just extruded out or something simple like that. So anyhow, I'm going to make one more, and that'll be the end of this video. So I'm going to show you what I did again. So this is sort of an instructional video on handles and how I do it. This way, 10 years down the road, somebody comes across this video and they'll say, oh, look at that guy. That's how he made his handles. Maybe I should try to do something like that. It's like, yeah, that's why I'm doing this, you know? So yeah, that's how you do it. Just lay it out just like that. I'll give you a better view of this so you can see what I'm talking about. I'll bring the camera around so you can see it. Put that off of there. Okay, so I'll bring you around to this side so you can see they're just rolled over that insulation like that. Okay, and then I'll show you what they look like on the mugs. So we come over here. I have some handles here that I put on the mugs, and that's what they look like when they're on the mug. Okay, and this is just a dried clay. This will end up going in the kiln then. So anyhow, that'll give you an idea of what we've done, so you can get an idea how to pull your handles. Okay, all right. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.